Hello everyone, it's Julie again, and I have yet again another lovely treat for you in the name of my wonderful friend and mentor, Sue Lilly. And Sue is going to talk about astrology for March and April. There's lots of things going on in the world, but if you listen to her astrology for the beginning of the year, for the whole year, she had said that there's stuff going to happen in March and April, and that's why we invited her back. And so we're really looking forward to hear what she has to say. Welcome, Sue. How are you?
Oh, fine, thank you. Obviously much colder than you, as you can see here. I've got my couple of jumpers on. Yes.
You look good. You're looking good.
Okay.
So what exciting things do you have to tell us with your astrology today?
Yeah, well, I've looked at March and April for a couple of reasons anyway, because when I previously talked, we talked about the end of April being quite a big eclipse, and of course the goings on in the world at the moment are all a little bit So I thought, well, we'll have a look to see what's happening in March and April. Now, in the Northern Hemisphere, these 2 months are still very much not really waking up to spring and getting things going. So whereas, of course, if you live in Australia, it's going to be to some extent the bit of an opposite, because you're all sort of opening up, you'll be starting to die down towards what would be the autumn, the weather. Okay, but the energies are the same whichever hemisphere you happen to be in. It's just that, so that's safe enough to go for it. Now, for a start with March, March starts off with a very powerful new moon on the 2nd, 1st to 2nd. So it's quite an important start to the month. And I'll come back, when I said I'll come back at the end towards global stuff, because obviously things going on these 2 months is going to affect global stuff. And basically, so we have another month that is sort of the end of winterish, so things are relatively hidden, still going on underneath the scenes. People are still sorting themselves out, which is the sort of thing that you would expect in the winter months. Nobody's sort of, mind you, if it's a nice day here anyway, you dash out and enjoy the sun, because the rest of the weather's been not good. So individually, this month centers around home and family, and everything to do with home and family stability, dealing with older members of the family, and if you're thinking of moving house or doing things with the house, it all around that area for the whole month. Is that like, that's the flavor for an individual person. And one of the things that's there's also shows is a need to speak freely, because there is energies around that are basically trying to confuse things and to encourage people to keep their attitudes to themselves or their feelings to themselves. And so it's, especially if you're in an area where people aren't talking about what they should be talking about as regards to society, it's like you really need to keep the communication going. So if you're a natural communicator, you might find it not so easy in March, because there's this dampening effect as we go through the month. This does loosen up in April, but it's one of the characteristics of March. The beginning of March, like I said, that new moon is quite a strong new moon. And so if you're sensitive to lunar cycles, you're going to notice it. Usually a couple of days before, a couple of days after. That's the natural thing about either end of the moon cycle, the new or the full moon. And so you'll find it may be a bit unsettling until we get to the 4th or 5th. So that first week, the initial start of the week, is going to be a little bit wobbly, a bit strange. And as we go through to past the 4th, the 5th and the 7th, things calm down from it. But what comes after that is a need to take action.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, so it's like it might give you the impetus to actually start doing things as you would be possibly doing this time of year anyway, getting ready for spring, getting ready for a new season, sorting things out, chucking out your clothes and the things you don't wear. Is that sort of energy comes with it as well. And this actually quietens down when we get to the second week, and it stays fairly quiet until we get to the full moon, which is on the 18th. Now, the full moon will also bring quite a shift. It's very, very close to the end of Pisces as we go into Aries. So it's a sign change in astrology as well.
Yeah.
And so things that have been quiet will start to get energy once again. And people will be wanting answers. They'll be wanting solutions. So the communication starts off, well, yeah, but why are you doing this? Tell me why you're doing this. And it is personally on that level for individuals. But of course, it's going to flip out to the bigger part of society. And people aren't going to be fobbed off with vague answers.
And I think
it's
that's
like
starting to come through, because people are now already starting to say they're fed up.
Yeah, that's right. And it's building. It's like it's this, you know, it's no good sort of, and also you get a lot of particularly people in charge of things who talk down to you and sort of say, well, oh, never mind, don't worry about this. And it's no, I need to know.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's part of this drive that comes through as we go through March. It goes through this muddled communication. As we get to the end of the month, it's no, you tell me the truth. Yeah. And so if somebody says that to you, you know what's going on. In other words, you haven't been very clear in your communications and you really need to sort yourself out so you can explain things clearly. Mm. So by the end of the month, it settles down quite a bit. And of course, we then start to slide in to April. Now, there's a new moon, April the 1st. You know, so once again, we're going to get this ebb and flow of energy. Yeah. As we get into April. But it's this time there isn't. This time it's much more creative energy. It's the whole of April is much more open, getting things. So bringing in the creativity. So the new moon on the 1st of April is basically the beginning of a very creative time, because that energy lasts most of the month. So the desire to really get going and to start clearing stuff out, possibly, you know, house, old stuff, but it doesn't just limited to things. It's also a need to reevaluate your attitudes to things as well. Yeah. So that's quite an important one. And also, because obviously there's a lot of stuff going around in society at the moment, is deciding where you stand on certain issues. That makes sense. You know, which is really quite important. Yeah. And if you're not clear, communication will get scrambled. People will still be left over from March, will still be looking at getting confused if you're not very clear with what you've got to say. From when we get up to the 16th, 17th, where the full moon comes in, it's basically the whole levels of stress are a lot less than they were in March. So it should be a lot easier to manage in April than it has been before. And the thing is that we then move on towards the big eclipse at the end of April, which we mentioned when we talked previously about what things were going on. So it leads us on to the eclipse on the 30th. And basically this time it's a lunar eclipse. And the way the energy is that you have the moon, and then you have sorry, you have the sun, then you have the planet, and then you have the moon. And so it's like it shows a change between the what's coming in the future with what's gone in the past. So it's quite a big break with things that have gone on unchanged. And so I think this is going to be something, and of course it's worldwide, you know, I mean, there are parts of the planet that will get it full on, but the actual energy thing is a worldwide thing. So it looks as though over the coming 2 months, there's a gradual sifting out for people about what they want to stay with and what they need to leave behind. And similarly for the planet and society in general, this is going to be the same. And then we get to the end of April, when it's like there's a chance for things to be really different, but we individually or we collectively have to move towards. So it's quite an important eclipse, that one.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I know that you, Julie, asked me was about, and this led me to look at Mr. Putin.
Yes.
Well, I'll just explain now why he and I share the same birthday.
You and him are the same.
And yeah, he's born a few hours before. Core energies are the same, but his are, if you like, rotated 90 degrees, like 20 degrees round on the chart. So I know these energies very well, but maybe not as he presents. So one of the things immediately comes to mind, I can see why he was KGB.
Ooh.
Ultimate spy energy there, absolutely. But also what's happening there, he's a very, very clever game player.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of one-upmanship and a lot of, I wouldn't say it's much sly, but very clever. I mean, the English word that describes it is actually cunning. Yeah. You know, it's very cunning stuff going on at the moment. And he's not got very good self-worth, not that you'd believe it from when he shows himself, whatever. But the one thing that he's doing, he is reliving a past life when he was the boss, when he was the king, when he was the bloke in charge.
Wow.
Know, which basically is not actually the way it should go. No. It should be the other way around. Yes, you were that in the past, but you actually do something different now. And if he was doing the different thing now, he would actually be freeing people up and allowing them to be independent. But he's actually doing the opposite. And he's in sort of acquisition, you know, acquiring mode under the guise of allowing people to be free. Yeah. Because of all the little satellite countries around Ukraine, on the guise of, oh, they want their freedom, so I'm coming in to give them freedom, blah, blah, blah. You know, and it's not that I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him, but he's very clever. He knocks the socks off, obviously, in the UK, you know, Boris Johnson, I forget it, but even some of the really clever people around that have been around the houses on this, he's very, very clever. And I think if he did decide to really do anything, it'll go on the moon cycles. Oh, so wow. Obviously the next danger point is the beginning of March, but then we go, because a lot of things in the world big things go on that cycle. Yeah. But I think a lot of it is very clever chess playing. Yes. Yeah. Very clever. That was I wouldn't like to try. I wouldn't like to try and play chess with this bloke, you know. Yeah. You know, I mean, I can work behind the scenes like anybody else, but I must admit he takes the biscuit. He does. And it's quite interesting at the moment. A lot of what's coming out, all this false information from there and all the shenanigans going on, you know, it's actually spot on what's happening to his chart at the moment in the areas it is. But wow. It's too simplistic to say we don't need to be worried. Of course we do, because all it needs is him to wrong person and for them to react. Yeah. That's where the danger is going to. But he may work behind the scenes to make somebody else. And as I'm saying, absolutely horrified. I mean, the bloke's only 9 hours older than me, in fact, with exactly the same pattern, but skewed a little bit, but still got all the same players as me. But it just show you with astrology is how different it can be. Depending on the time of the day you were born, even on the same day. So yes, when I look at his chart, I do so with trepidation. But
Sue, I'm going to keep, next time I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep you right there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Sue. But that's amazing.
But it's very interesting. But certainly that's my take on it. I don't think he will openly be the aggressor. He will stir things like nobody's business behind the scenes. And somebody else might take the lead. But I think he's just a very clever game player.
And it's the last thing that we need at the moment after the COVID mess and all the rest of
the exactly world. Is what we really do not need.
At all.
That's right. But I think as a lot of people, and it certainly is happening in the UK, is they're using it to take the attention off everything else.
And that makes sense. Completely. Wow, Sue. Oh, you've made me smile today because I keep thinking you're the same birthday, but you're nothing like that at all. So
I said it when I found that out, and then when I looked at his chart, I thought, oh my, I'm glad I wasn't a few hours premature.
Oh my goodness.
So
we're in for.
But it's interesting when somebody else. I say it's interesting when somebody else, as if you like, has got the same players on the table, but they use them differently.
Totally different. We just have to hope then that everybody around him keeps a calm head and nobody does anything too aggressive.
And nobody starts playing his game.
Which we have to hope is not going to happen. I'm trying not to read the newspapers. I try not to anyway, but this particular one I keep thinking, I don't want to know at the moment. Interesting. And I think it's a difficult. It's a difficult one. Yes.
Because there's so much history in that area of the world. That goes back hundreds of years.
Hundreds. And it's never been really stable. No. So we just don't want it to be the point of like, oh, let's play with Ukraine. Let's use them as the bombing point. Let's use them as. Got to think. We have to pray and hope that we've learned. The world leaders learn something and don't play. I hope so.
Yes.
We need the world to get calmer.
Exactly. We don't need any more disruption.
No, we don't. So, wow. So we're in for a nice few months, it looks like. And I guess the clearing out as well will be some of the clearing out from the mess of the pandemic, which of course everything that's changing there as well. So hopefully we're worse.
Yes, exactly.
Hopefully we're through the worst. Hopefully.
I think it all depends on the newer strains that come out now. I mean, I'm lucky I live in Wales and we've still got masks and we've still got testing free and they're still tracking everything. But of course, as from tomorrow, that goes out the window in England. Which is a shame because we're going to lose a lot of information that everybody needs.
Yes, and that you wonder what's going to happen there. Maybe too soon, but anyway, politics, I'm sure, and economy and politics and everything else.
Okay, so that's basically the 2 months and the build up to the lunar eclipse at the end of April.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens, and we'll just have to invite you back in April.
I mean, we have to remember that the bottom line is that we all have free will, and that no matter what I see in trends, somebody can decide not to follow it.
Yes, yeah, of course, because it's just one way it could be. But it's so interesting how you see it, and with your years of wisdom and everything, it's lovely to hear. So let's see what happens, and then we'll bring you back.
Yeah, and hopefully we will see this in itself.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, Sue, I'd like to say a big thank you to you. I think people are going to be really interested. How do they get in touch with you if they would like to have a reading with you or just want to discuss things with you?
Yes, I mean, they can go to my website, which is suelilly.co.uk, and Lily hasn't got an E in it, so otherwise you won't find me. And you can see from there what I do, what I charge, and then it gives you an email that you can get in contact with me.
Fantastic. And of course they can also contact me if you would like.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And you can leave comments. So if you like the video, you can leave comments on the video on the YouTube channel, and we answer you back, and we'll get the messages to Sue. So please do comment. If you like the video, also like, and please remember, if you've not subscribed already, please subscribe to the channel, because the more you subscribe, the more we can do these lovely discussions. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Sue. We really look forward to see what happens now in the next 2 months. And you're the least like Mr. Puching that I could ever imagine. But thank you very much, and look after yourself.
I think so too, but yeah.
We can't choose who were born on the same day as, can we? Anyway, you take care. Thank you so much, and thank you everybody for listening, and I'll see you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.